It's time for the WADcast. Writers, actors, directors, and every spot on a set in between. That's right, we are here to talk to each and everybody that helps put together the things that you enjoy. And tonight will be no exception. But before we get to that, I'm Josh. And I am joined, as always, by the guy that can't get enough of that ice cream, Brandon. What's up, Brandon?
Sorry, 1 second, guys.
See, that's him not getting enough of that ice cream. Wow.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm sorry. I had some stuff going on over my end. What did I miss?
I said, hi, Brandon.
Oh, hi, Josh.
That's what you missed.
I'm sorry. I truly am sorry. I was trying to share the... Sorry, here we go. I was trying to share the Facebook Live thing on my Facebook, and I ended up... You ever watch like a video, and you tilt the screen, and you hear like the video, and then you hear the audio to the video playing on top of... Like, it's the same audio loop, but like just seconds apart. That just happened to me. So, hi, everybody. Welcome to WADcast. It is Friday nights. And your very, 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 very organized co-host, Brandon Junk, is here to hang out with everybody. There we go. Belated, but, you know. Josh, why don't you... I usually introduce the guest, but I'm going to let you introduce the guest because you secured our guests. And, yeah. Take it.
Take it, he says. Take it.
Yeah,
just like
take
a man.
the lead. What is wrong? You know what? Introduce the damn guest.
Okay, well, I think I can do this. You've been the guy that did it for so long. I can do it. I can do it better. So, ladies and gentlemen, joining us here tonight, he is a man of many talents, and joining us to talk about his career and his feature film, Animal Crackers. And God, I hope I say his name right. Scott Christian Sava.
That was really good. How you guys doing today?
Good. Did he pronounce your name right?
Yeah. I mean, there's really no wrong way to say it, but yeah, he did it. He did it the way my family says it, so that's good.
Yeah, my last name is Junk. It's pronounced Yunk, but I stopped correcting it when I was 13 years old. So I mean, there's always a weird way to, you know. But no, Scott, thank you so much for coming on the show. And as I've read more about you throughout this week with the downtime I've had available, I have actually gotten more and more excited about having you on the show. Not that I don't get excited about having people on the show, but I got more excited about, you know, talking with you about things because this is your very first Animal Crackers, and we'll get to this in a little bit. But it's number one on Netflix right now for animation, and it is pretty much your baby. You wrote this thing and you even made this happen. Which is one thing that we really want to try to shed light on with a lot of aspiring filmmakers that listen to our show. But I guess, Josh, I'm stealing your spotlight here, man. I'm sorry. I'm just too damn excited here. So, Josh, I'll let you take it from here and start the questioning and conversation. I'll shut up.
Okay, fair enough. Scott.
Hey.
First question. It's one we generally ask. What's your background? Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I was born in Yonkers, New York. When I was 4, I moved to Florida. Lived in Miramar, Florida, till I was 12, and then we moved to San Jose, California. And that's where I went to high school and college. I went to the Academy of Art College in San Francisco. I was an illustration major. And my junior year, I got an internship at Sega of America doing 16-bit games for Sega Genesis. And Then after that, I went to go work at Atari Games doing arcade games. Got married, and we moved down to Los Angeles to work at Malibu Comics, and I did Star Trek covers and Mortal Kombat covers for comic books. And then I got into doing some animation for TV and film. I did the Casper movies, I did Power Rangers, and then I wanted to do Spider-Man was all I ever wanted to do as a kid, and I finally got to do that in 2002. Came out with the Tobey Maguire movies, and after that we had kids. We had twin boys, and we moved to Franklin, Tennessee. We've been here ever since, and I've written, I think, 15 or 16 books for them, and one of them was Animal Crackers. And about 6 years ago, we got money to turn it into a movie, and we went off and we turned it into a movie. And it just came out about 3 weeks ago today.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
My life in a nutshell.
No, that's a very, very, very big nutshell that you described in about 20, a minute. And as a writer, kudos, man. Like I write myself, and I'll tell you right now, trying to explain even the plot to a script, you're going to hear about everything. Like, where do I start? Sit down. I have a yarn to spin you.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. These are things I was reading about you, and one thing I saw, and I will say this, while stalking your IMDb, I saw you worked on a video game that I actually still have in my collection, was the Predator Concrete Jungle for PS2.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
I enjoyed playing that game. I enjoyed it because of the time when I got it. It was great stress relief. It was before GTA 5 came out, so I was just going around oh, is that a drug dealer? He's gonna die now. But so it's so what is it? On your credits it says character animator. What exactly goes into the character animation thing? Because I saw that you did that also with Power Rangers, so I can see where we're coming with some like the Casper movies. But when it comes to stuff like that, what would exactly go into character animation? Yeah,
well, for Concrete Jungle, all of the cut sequences were me. And so, like if I remember the right, because I did a couple Aliens and Predators, but if I remember, this one was the one where it goes back in time to 1940, and the Predator, he's about to die, and so he nukes he sets off his ship, and it explodes, and then he gets stranded. And I don't know if you remember any of the cut sequences, but that was all of that stuff was us, me and my team of friends and animators and whatnot. And so we did the entire game, which was really a lot of fun. A funny thing was, I think if you ever go back and play it, when you're back in the 1920s or 30s or 40s or whatever it was, when it's going to you're zooming through the city. If you stop at one of the billboards, you'll see my name. One of the artists put my name on the billboard or something. So Easter eggs, all artists love to put in Easter eggs like that. And but yeah, so that was that. So I would animate the characters, I would render out the scenes, I would light it and whatnot. Power Rangers was Power Rangers is live action, but Haim Saban, who owned Saban, wanted to start adding a little more spice to some of the scenes. And so he wanted the characters to fly around, so that when the Red Ranger would power up and he'd have this jetpack or something. And so we would do that in 3D, and they'd hire me to animate him flying around. So I would get what are called plates, which is the video of the bad guys reacting to him, and then I would, animate this little CGI Red Ranger flying around and shooting missiles at them and whatnot. And so there was an explosion. I had to make sure the missile hit the explosion and whatnot. But it was fun. They were fun little projects.
Okay. No, I was actually very curious about that. I never knew what went into character animation, because that's just something I thought about doing way back when, but just never got into it. So
it's just acting frame by frame. That's really all it is. It's acting. And so you have to, when you're doing something like, I was the lead animator of Stretch from the Casper movies, and you're given a human, a real life actor acting to nothing, and so you have to kind of become that ghost and just try to think of how they would react. You got the lines and what would their body language be and where's their eyes going to be looking, and it's really, really fun, especially for someone like me who's an introvert, and I would never be an actor. It gives me a chance to kind of pretend that I'm the movies I was doing, I think, starred Steve Guttenberg, and so it was like I'm acting with Steve Guttenberg or whoever it was, and it was kind of fun.
Okay. Josh, I know you turn your microphone off whenever a guest is speaking, but is there a question you might have? Because I feel like I always hog the spotlight from you, and this is a guest that you procured for tonight's episode, and I don't want to do that to you, buddy.
Well, you know me, I'm always fiddling with knobs, keeping up with the chat. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Lisa and Amber, who are listening and letting us know.
Is it Lisa Gonzalez?
It is.
Oh, hi, Mom. And hi, Amber. Okay, I'll shut up. Josh, your turn.
I want to hear more about that work on Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man. So, since I was 5 years old, I love the old Spider-Man cartoon, and since I was 5, all I'd want to do was be the artist on Spider-Man, and I would draw Spider-Man every day, all through junior high, all through high school, and then when I got to, I don't know, about maybe my junior year of high school, I started going to comic conventions and showing my artwork, and Rob Liefeld was like, he was this kid, he was about my age, who walked into a comic convention and showed his work, and he got hired and he became the artist on like X-Men and everything. And so everybody thought, oh my God, anybody can do it. And it wasn't that easy. I got turned down every day for 15 years. It took me till I was 31 or 32 to finally get the job and the gig that I got. And it's funny because just on Twitter today, someone had posted some of the cover pages. So they didn't want because I was an illustrator, so I was kind of a painter. I tried the penciling and inking. That really was never my style. So I tried doing painting, but they wanted to look like Alex Ross's work. And so I had met Marv Wolfman, who created the Teen Titans and Blade, and Len Wein, who created Wolverine and Swamp Thing, at one of the conventions. And they offered to help me out. And Marv sent my work into Marvel, and it got rejected. And Marv had a really good idea. He says, why don't you take your day job, which was doing computer animation, and try applying it to the comic books? And I did, and that got me the gig. And so it was this fully CGI animated look of Spider-Man. It wasn't, this was 2001, so it wasn't, it was just not possible to make it look as good as like something like the new Spider-Man movie that just came out, Into the Multiverse, or the Spider-Verse. But it was as good as I could do, and I was really proud of it, and I really kind of got it out of my system. I felt like, okay, I achieved my childhood dream, and I did 4 issues of Spider-Man, and forever I could say I'm one of the Spider-Man artists, and so that was a cool thing. You could look it up. It's Spider-Man Quality of Life.
Okay, I'm probably going to add some of those photos to the Facebook group. But if there was ever a, I'm going to be nice here and say picky group of fans, fandom, it's those Spider-Man fans.
Yeah. I learned a lot. They hated that first issue. They hated it, and you could imagine this was all I'd ever want to do my entire life, and to just have all of the Spider-Man fans just hating it. But I did something that, really it affected the rest of my life, which was I thanked every single one of them. I went online and I went to every review and I went to every message board and I thanked everybody for reading it and for reviewing it, and then I told them my story. And by the time the 4th issue came out, I went from 1-star reviews to 3.5 to 4-star reviews, just because people understood the journey that I went through to get there, and the amount of work that I had put on. I spent 10 months on those 4 issues, I just from morning to night I was working on those because it was my one shot, and like Hamilton, I wasn't going to throw away my shot, but I realized that if they knew who I was, if they knew why I was doing it. People get really picky. It's real easy to put people down when you think it's just like a corporately made something or this or that or whatever. But if that person's in the room with you, 99% of the people are going to show a little bit of respect, or they're at least going to take the time to understand this was someone put some work into that. And when Animal Crackers came out, I applied that same way of doing things. I was answering 2,000 to 3,000 posts a day on Reddit, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere, YouTube, anywhere anybody talked about, and to this day I'm still doing it, but it's been 3 straight weeks of just anywhere someone mentions Animal Crackers, I'm there, and I'm thanking them with the worst. This is the worst movie I've ever seen. It is horrible. It is the ugliest. This, that, whatever. Thank you for taking the time to watch it. I appreciate it, because someone spent the time. Whether they did it because their little brother wanted to watch it or whatever. But and almost every single time they will say, "Oh, you know what? It actually wasn't that bad." Once they know that you're in the room there, once they know that there's a real human being who poured their heart and soul into this, and I'm not using it to trick anybody, but I want people to know that there was a lot of work that went into it, and I wish other creators did that too. I see so many creators, they see a bad review and they get mad and they yell at them and they try to make excuses, and it's my first movie. It's not going to be perfect. Spider-Man was nowhere near perfect. I look at it and I cringe, but I did the best that I could with the technology that we had 20 years ago. And it was really good for the time. It really was. But, I'm not trying to make something perfect. I'm trying to make kids happy. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, animators are always trying to be the next Walt Disney. They're trying to be the next Miyazaki. They're trying to be the next Pixar. I'm trying to be the next Hanna-Barbera. I'd be perfectly happy doing the Jetsons and the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo. I'm perfectly happy being a part of children's childhood because I'm telling stories that are fun. It doesn't have to be great animation. It doesn't have to be the best stories. I just want to make kids laugh. I just want to, give them that sense of joy. It doesn't have to be a $150 million budget movie. It doesn't have to be perfect. And that's what I'm aiming for is just that kind of Jim Henson or Mr. Rogers kind of mentality of just trying to bring a good, just some heart to what you're doing. And that doesn't cost a lot of money. You just have to really mean it when you do it.
Oh, exactly. I mean, that's what I was saying before we started the show when we were talking. As I told you, Animal Crackers, I am definitely not part of the demographic for that one. Yeah. But even with that being said, I watched the movie and I laughed at it. I thought I could see where the heart was when it was written. Because if I'm not mistaken, you are are you this? I only looked so far with the time I had available to really check this out, and I feel embarrassed even saying that. But are you the sole screenwriter for the film, or was it adapted by a screenwriter?
No. I wrote the original book that it was based on, and then I wrote the screenplay off of that. Then when we got our funding, we brought in Dean Lorey, who wrote Arrested Development, and he came on, and he and I, we did, God, must have been 20 more passes. I mean, the film changed so many times as things happen or as you get better ideas or whatnot. So it kind of really grew between the two of us.
And see, but therein lies the issue with people that don't understand adaptation process from a written or even like a comic or a book kind of any kind of literary standpoint into what you see in a film.
Yeah.
And like going back to things like Spider-Man, okay, what you see in the books, I mean, God, what was it, like 20 years worth of him being a high school student?
Yeah.
And I mean, come on, like you're not going to keep Tom Holland or Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield, all of which Tom Holland's the only one that was really passable as a high school student anyway.
Yeah.
To really like play that character in that setting, you have to adapt the series and you have to evolve it somehow.
Yeah.
Like I've had to adapt a book way back when into a screenplay for a TV pilot because the book had like different chapters, and the way it was written, each chapter was going to be an episode in the TV series. But the liberties, I want to say, that I had to take with the first chapter just to make it something that people would really want to watch and maybe connect with. It stayed similar to it. The story was the same, but it was really more. You can tell where I just want, like, balls to the wall with what I felt would really be appropriate. The original author, he loved it. It was just one of those. Nothing really ever came to fruition with it.
Okay.
I had a great time writing. It was fantastic. It was a fun experience. So with Animal Crackers, while I have not read the source material, I would venture so far as to say that, it was probably just one of those things where, of course, excitement is there, but you want something not only marketable, but something memorable for kids, as you put it. Like, I mean, it's geared towards children. It's geared towards something that parents can watch with the kids.
Yeah.
And maybe even like just thankfully with Netflix, it's not like when we were all kids when we had like the VHS tapes that we would burn out after like 5 or 6 viewings.
Yeah.
With it being Netflix and everything else, it's something that, parents can have the kids watch if they enjoyed it enough. And the rewatch factor should be there as well. Like, you have to maintain like the ability to rewatch a series.
Yeah. Yeah.
But coming from that, and I'm just so curious. This movie is extremely star-studded between Ian McKellen. You have Sylvester Stallone. Oh God, I know his name. I really don't want to say Jim from The Office, but I'll say Jim from The Office. I know he's probably what's that? John Krasinski. That's it. My God, his wife Emily Blunt. If he even listens to this episode, he's gonna be like, damn it.
I'm forwarding it to him right now.
Huh?
I'm forwarding it to him right now.
John, listen to this. I'm sorry. I love all your other work. A Quiet Place, phenomenal.
Well, here's the funny story. I had no idea who he was when my casting director asked me to put him in the movie. No idea. No clue. It was 2014. It was my first movie. It was originally an $11 million budget film, and we were going to go direct to DVD because I figured, $11 million, we're not going to be able to do anything really that good. My casting director, Jamie Thomason, asked me, give me some names, and the two names that were in my head when I was writing it were Patrick Warburton for Brock and Ian McKellen for Horatio. And, my casting director was like, there's no way we're getting Ian McKellen. Yeah, there's no way. We didn't have anywhere close to a budget, but he's like, but we can ask, right? We can ask. And he's like, while we're at it, let's come up with some other names that we can ask for some of the other parts. In the event that, which we knew Ian McKellen was going to say no, let's come up with some names for Bullet Man and Chesterfield and yada, yada, yada. So long story short, a couple weeks later, Ian McKellen says yes. I mean, to the budget we had, which was like almost scale. And we were like, oh my God, I can't believe it. We got this. But he, even at such a microscopic budget, it was like 80% of our casting budget. So, we were able to get Patrick Warburton and a couple other people, but that was it for any like really big names. But then the next day, Sylvester Stallone and Danny DeVito found out that Ian McKellen said yes, so they said yes. And then Raven Simone said yes. And we were like, oh no, we can't afford all of these people. And so we had to either say no or go back to the investors. So we went back to the investors and we said, what do we do? And they're like, well, we got to say yes. So they gave us $3 more million so we can cover everything and improve the art a little bit too. And then so we went for John Krasinski, who was a nobody at the time. I mean, he had done just The Office. I didn't know who he was. And we're like, okay, well, we can do John Krasinski. And then I flew out from Nashville to Los Angeles to meet John and Danny DeVito and Raven Simone. And John was fantastic. Like, I had no clue what he was going to sound like, but he was perfect. You knew he was Owen the minute you heard him. And so afterwards, I'm in the room with them. I walked in because it was over, and he was kind of packing up, and he's just being his normal, kind guy. And he says, "Hey, I just want to let you know," he goes, "my wife just thought the script was great. She just thought it was just such a cute script and really well." Now, I didn't know who he was married to, so I was like, "Oh, well, thank your wife for me," and I turned and walked away. So fortunately, the microphones were hot, and my casting director comes running in, and he's like, "Would your wife want to be in the movie?" And I'm like, "Why are you asking this poor guy if his wife wants to be? That's just kind of rude." He's like, shut up. And he's like, "Yeah." And he picks up his phone. He goes, "Hey, babe, you want to be in the film?" And she replies back, "Yeah." And he holds up the phone. He goes, "She's in." And that's how Emily Blunt came on the film. I was just like,
hysterical.
Yeah. Well, the best was when I go, "Wait, you're married to Emily Blunt?" He goes, "Why does everybody keep asking me that?"
Yeah, no, I saw that in interviews where he has and Josh and I were just talking about how popular The Office is and how hard it is for mega fans to separate acting from real life.
Yeah.
And how him and Jenna Fisher. Jenna Fisher have to defend the fact that they're married to people in real life, but it's each other. And so I think John actually had this interview with someone where he's like, "Yeah, I'm still having people they look at me next to my wife and they're like, 'Wait, you married him?'"
Yeah. Yeah. They were so cute. This was their first time ever working together. They were so cute. They were having so much fun that they were. I don't know if you ever get a chance to go to the Instagram page for Animal Crackers. I've been posting because I was just holding up my phone during recordings and recording them, and you'll see all of the outtakes, all of the jokes. There's the line where Zoe says, "So what's in the box?" and just John breaks out with, "What's in the box?" and she starts cracking up, and that was just all day long. All day long, they were just making each other giggle and laugh to where it just became part of Owen and Zoe. They were just, if you look throughout the movie, you'll always see them just laughing at each other's jokes and whatnot. And they were just so genuinely in love and just so genuinely happy together that it permeated the entire film. And it was just fantastic.
I'm going to have to go back and give this movie a rewatch after watching those outtakes. And
yeah.
My God, I would love to have the three of you on the show sometime to discuss this whole process. I think that'd be hysterical. Yeah, that's impossible.
The thing is with when I got into a room, I mean, you can imagine. I don't know if you guys, when we first got on, did you see my room when I had the video on for a little bit?
I did not. No, I'm using my phone, so I had to press my ear. I don't know if Josh,
no, that's fine. It's a Hobbit hole. My office is a Hobbit hole because I just genuinely like to sit in my office and work, and I'm not a very I'm a very introverted person, and so for me to fly all the way to London to go meet Gandalf is just, there was a lot of Xanax involved, and so he walks in the room and he's just like, "Would anybody like a picture for social media?" With his arms wide open, and he's just a wonderful guy. And I did a painting of Gandalf, and he signed it to Brendan and Logan, my kids. Love Ian McKellen, and he put little Gandalf's rune on it and everything. And he's just so nice. But we take a break, and it's lunchtime, And I'm sitting there eating some soup, and he's eating a salad, and we're staring at each other. And I don't say a word because I just don't know what to say. I don't have that ability to open up and just start talking. How about the Mets?
Contact with each other.
Yeah. So I just. If we were to get on a call with any one of them, they would be doing all the talking, and I would be sitting quietly in a corner. This is that's their strength. Doing that kind of stuff. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I sat in front of Danny DeVito, the two of us eating lunch, and it's just this quiet slurping of soup, and and then it was like 6 months later, I'm watching Hoffa for I don't know the third time or whatever, and I get to the end of the movie, I'm like, wait, he directed that? And I went, oh my God. Like, I didn't know, and I could have talked to him about that. And, Stallone was the last person I got to meet. And that was, it was like 8 months after my first session, which was John Krasinski. And I had learned all of that. So that way, when I got to meet Stallone, I wrote notes down. I had a cheat sheet of things to talk to him about, and it was like the best meeting ever because I was asking him about Rocky. I was asking him about what he did to fight to keep his project, and he spent 45 minutes just one-on-one telling me stories about. I mean, did you know that Bette Midler was originally supposed to play Adrian?
Yep.
I didn't know that, I mean, you probably also knew that Danny DeVito directed Hoffa too, but I didn't know. And he's telling me all of these stories, and he's shadow boxing. He's telling me stories about Apollo Creed, and this and that or whatever. And then he looks me in the eye, gets in my face, and he goes, "Don't let those bastards take your film from you. This is your film. You made this. You don't let anybody take it from." I got the speech from Rocky, so I was just like, okay, but
chills. Huh? It's just like that speech just reminds me of the Rocky, the Rocky Balboa speech when he's talking to his kid.
Yes, and I asked him about that.
How don't point fingers and everything else, my God.
Yeah, life. Nothing hits you harder than life. You got to keep getting back. I asked him about that. I said, "Did you make that up, or did you read it off of like a fortune cookie or something like that?" And he's like, "No," because I just kind of came up with it. I'm like, "That is like the best speech."
Oh my God! I saw that in theaters, and I had just every hair on my body stood up when he gave his son that speech.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, that is the most parental verbal ass whooping I've ever seen in any film ever.
Yeah. I once or twice a month I will look that up and just remind myself because of everything we had gone through, and it was just amazing. But yeah, meeting everybody was amazing. It was phenomenal. Everybody was so cool. Everybody was so supportive, and they made you could hear it in Ian McKellen. There was a point in the movie where I had written the villain's monologue. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? And we're about halfway through the movie, and we're listening to it, and it's Ian McKellen, so he could read the phone book, and it still sounds great. But I'm like, is there something we could do to spice this up? And so my cast director says, well, what do you think? And I'm like, what if he breaks out into song? And he's like, well, there's two problems. He says, one, we don't know how to write music, and two, Ian McKellen's a Shakespearean actor. He doesn't sing. I was like, well, let's figure it out. And we did. He says, well, who would you want to get to write the music? And I said, I don't know anybody. I said, but my kids really like Phineas and Ferb, and there's always a musical number in every episode. He's like, oh, I've worked with Dan and Swampy. So he calls them up, and next thing you know, about a week later, we've got a song written. So now we've got to fly out to London and get Ian McKellen to sing. And he was nervous, but he went for it. And then we got Gilbert Gottfried to do the other part. It was a duo with Gilbert Gottfried. So, it's like, hey, why don't we have Ian McKellen do a duet with Gilbert Gottfried, written by the guys who do Phineas and Ferb. And it's it was that kind of thing. It was just like, why not? Let's see what would happen. And like I said, not all of it's going to work. It can't, it was just it was fun. And I think that's what we wanted the movie to be. It was fun. And I think the response from parents and kids have been, it's really fun. And it's weird. And apparently in some ways offensive too, which I wasn't expecting.
There are some adult undertones that I was like, okay, maybe I might be the demographic, but I don't think I am.
No, anytime that there was anything that was in any way offensive, I always blame Dean Lorry for it. So
That's okay. Josh says that to me all the time. So
yeah.
I will say this, like with the cast. First off, Scott, I want to thank you because of the fact that these are people that I've always had. Like, I mean, John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, I've always wanted to like either meet them or just even pick their brains.
Yeah.
But you always hear the whole "don't meet your heroes." I'm not going to go so far as to say that they're necessarily my heroes, but I respect them for everything that I see in like interviews or how they carry themselves, or even if they're like just out together. Like, I think there was a video of John Krasinski being like, approached by paparazzi. And where most stars would freak out and flip out on them, he was just like, well, it's cool. Like, really laid back, communicative with them, but at the same time, like, just low key about like not really wanting to talk. I'm like, oh, that's actually, he seems like a pretty respectful dude.
He is. They're both
nice
very,
guy.
very respectful. Like I said, every time I would go in, because I'm flying 2,000 miles, I wanted to just pick their brains and ask some questions and whatever I could think of. But they were always very nice, and we never, you hear stories of like Bruce Willis or somebody who kind of just phones in their and that's just, again, a rumor, we'll say. But I'm saying you hear those stories, and
Like
I was warned.
Hero stories.
Yeah, I was warned about Stallone. I was warned that he was going to come in with an entourage. I wouldn't get a chance to talk to him. Definitely wouldn't get a picture with him. Definitely couldn't get him to sign my painting that I did of him, punching Clubber Lang, And he came in by himself with a cup of coffee and just, how you doing? Just call me Sly. And we talked for 45 minutes, just the two of us. So I was prepared for the worst. And not a single case did it happen like that. Every single one of them gave me their time. Every single one of them took pictures with me. I mean, Emily did videos for my wife because my wife couldn't make it out there because her kids were too young. And so, hi Donna, I'm sorry you couldn't make it. They signed everything anybody put in front of them. I mean, they were just fantastic. And we saw them multiple times. It wasn't, like just a once off thing. It was, we'd come back and Emily would walk in the room. She'd come in, she'd give me a big hug. Hey, how are you doing? And they remembered you, and whether it's all an act or not, because they are actors. Whether it's an act or not, the fact that they're acting to be nice is to me enough to say that they care, and so, it was a wonderful experience. Everybody was genuinely nice. And I'm hoping I can do a sequel one day so I can, thank them again and have cheat sheet this time for everybody.
Yeah. And I feel bad because we're here actually to talk about you. And here I'm again, I'm just floored because we've had guests and, we enjoy all of our guests. All the guests are awesome people, really, really cool laid back people. And you're definitely a part of that group there. But you're the first guest to actually work with this many stars in one production.
I'm the only one I know in all my family too. It's kind of a unique thing.
The thing is that you came up with this in such a humble manner, and it turned into what it is now. And most people don't understand that when that stuff like that happens, it just kind of catches you off guard. Just like you guys want to do what with what?
Yeah.
Wait, who's doing this?
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, Josh, do you have any questions about the cast at all? Or like I said, I feel like horrible with him going on about the cast instead of us talking to him about him.
I could go on all day about the cast. It's huge. It's amazing. But if I do want to hear one story, I do think it would probably be Wallace Shawn. Do you have anything about Wallace Shawn that you can feed to us here?
I love Wallace Shawn. Princess Bride was my favorite movie, and the thing is, he was genuinely a sweetheart, just an amazing man. I couldn't get him to say inconceivable. That was the only thing I'll say. He just would not say inconceivable.
That's when he walk in and be like, "Do you believe this? My God, nothing's going right. What would you call that?" Like, inconceivable.
Try to trick him into it, yeah. Because look, I don't know if you heard, but I got Ian McKellen to say, "Now fly, you fool," to Mario Zucchini, and so I wrote inconceivable into the script, and he wouldn't say it. So
did he just like look at that and just stare at you like deadpan, like mm-hmm?
It was he did it so nicely and so apologetically. He was the sweetest, nicest man. But that's just a funny side note of it's not like I was trying to trick him, but it was just kind of there was a little too much geekiness in the room for him at that point, but he was great. He actually he knows Spanish, and so he was able to give a hello in Spanish to our team in Spain, which was really, really cool. He was the only one who was able to do that, so that was really kind of fun.
No, that's awesome. I think, man, I honestly, I would have lost it if you had said you got him to say that, like just flat out, like, "Oh, what was it like? Did the room break out in applause?" Like, I mean, he said it like 30,000 times during The Princess Bride. He can't say it one time in another movie.
Yeah, I think that would be like having Tom Wilson, who played Biff, ask him to call you butthead or something. I think there's like a limit to what people are willing to do.
It's like, come on, say think, McFly, think.
Yeah.
One time. Come in and make like a tree and leave. Like, well, I mean, coming off the cast, because like I said, like we're here really to discuss your progress with the whole thing. As much as Josh said, we could talk all day long about the cast. Like, these are people that Josh and I greatly admire, and we've even joked about over the years. But when it comes to you, you have some things, and first off, you were so sweet about, like, when I asked if there's anything that we can talk about that's off the table. So I won't discuss the ins and outs, but would you say, because you have a few things in development right now, would you say that, like, through Animal Crackers, you've been able to move on to broader horizons because of it?
I haven't been able to do anything yet. I mean, we're only 3 weeks into this, and I honestly have no idea what my future is. I really don't. I would love to say that I'm doing this or I'm doing that, but I live in Franklin, Tennessee, and this is my first film, and I don't have a deal for anything else. I don't have people banging down my door, and I honestly don't know. My fear is, in a few weeks or a month's time or whatever, it'll all be forgotten, and that'll be my only film that I ever do. I honestly just don't know. I would love to do more because I've learned so much. I feel like I have all of this information and experience now. I want to apply it, but I've had pet robots. My grandparents are secret agents. Cameron and His Dinosaurs, Gary the Pirate, Magic Carpet, Hyperactive, The Luckiest Boy, The Dreamland Chronicles. I've had all of these other books. I've had them optioned by studios. I've had them in development and nothing happened. And that's for years. And that's why I went off and I just decided to do it myself and make my own movie. It was just, I got tired of waiting because Hollywood is just so screwed up. I feel like hey, I did something that should at least prove that I can do this again if given a chance. And I did it at a really low budget. But until I get a phone call from somebody, or, I just don't know. I don't know if I have to try to do it again, if I have to go and try to find another investor. And I just don't know what the next step is. And I think that's the scary thing is just, I feel like almost like I did it and now I'm going back to square one again. And, I'm worrying about how I'm going to pay for my kids' college. How are we going to, what are we going to do for retirement? And so, yeah, I mean, and the other side of that is I want to be content with what I did. If that is all I ever get to do, if I got to make that movie and I got to have those experiences and, we go and get a regular job and, working at Home Depot or whatever, and my kids have to get student loans and I die at 105 saying, hey, remember that time I made a movie when I was 51? Then that's a pretty cool story,
Yeah. The beauty in that, though, I don't mean to cut you off. The beauty in that, though, is that Kevin Smith is like probably like mine and Josh's director related idols, because he did Clerks, okay, back in what was it, 94, I think.
Yeah.
And what you're saying is it like parallels almost exactly to what he said when he did Clerks. He intended for his lines to be Randall, thinking like, oh, he gave himself all the cool and like the really suave kind of lines, and he'd be like the douche in the script because he thought it'd be hysterical, and he realized how very little time he had to act and direct at the same time, so he gave himself Silent Bob. He just wrote that in for him to play.
Yeah.
And his thought track was, if this is the only thing I ever do, at least I can go back and watch the movie and say, hey, look, I did this.
Yeah.
And he's gone on to have a very lucrative and very successful career just in independent cinema alone.
Yeah.
And the ratings for Animal Crackers speak for themselves. I mean, it is, as you said it was like the number one film right now, right?
Yeah, it was the number one animated film in the world for July, which was only in July for 6 days, and August. But we were number 2 to that stupid Kissing Booth 2, which just came out the same day, and we just could not beat that one for overall. But we were number 1 animated. We were number 2 overall. But for no marketing, for no, we didn't even get Ian McKellen. God bless him. He really retweeted and whatever. Patrick Warburton, Gilbert Gottfried, Tara Strong, James Arnold Taylor, they got behind it. But we weren't able to get really anything otherwise, So considering it was really kind of the fans and the parents and who really, really kind of got behind it and helped get a lot of people to watch it, because I know Netflix was pretty surprised because I don't think they thought it was going to do that well, and it did. So, which is good.
But you said you made this film yourself. Like you did this whole thing. Like I know there's a team. Like there's always a team. But instead of having Hollywood waiting on Hollywood, because Hollywood, as you said, is screwed up.
Yeah.
Josh, how many conversations have you and I had about like just Hollywood just not really knowing its ass from a hole in the ground here?
7.
Like 7. But independent cinema is definitely it is the future. It was such a taboo industry for decades, and it's because Hollywood just dominated everything. And but now you're starting to see these quality films come from like the nooks and crannies of other areas of the industry.
Yeah.
And you watch these things, and they're so much more heartfelt. There's so much more blood, sweat, and tears. And the only Hollywood production I can think of in recent years that went above and beyond to provide what the viewers expected, I think, honestly, was Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
they went back and they fixed it, and the fans really appreciated that.
Yeah, what was the meme? The fans cyberbullied an entire studio into giving them what they wanted. So, but that's the only time I can think of that a studio went above and beyond to really provide something that was actually quality, and after it came out, whether it's through Jim Carrey or through the studio's execution and the character design, it excelled.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would have done much worse had the studio just shut off and said, no, screw the fans, they get what they get.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when it comes to independent cinema, there's always like a more personal story there, where there's some kind of personal connection to the stories.
Yeah, if you read every single review about my movie starts off with the journey that it took and all of the bankruptcies and all of everything that went into getting the film out, because the film was finished at the end of 2016, and then it went through 3 different distributors, and it went through a lawsuit, and it went through just all of these horrible things to get here, and that's because I went out and I told everybody. I did interviews, I spoke to people, and I made sure that everybody knew my story, so that way, whether it's the New York Times or it's Variety magazine or it's Billy Bob Joe's blog, everybody knows the story, and that's the thing is that I think that's important for independent films. It's important for any kind of art. Is there is a human being behind that? It's not a corporately made thing. I mean, when I first announced Animal Crackers, everybody thought it was made by Nabisco. They just thought it was, here we go again. And they would say, "What's next? Gummy Bears the movie?" But the thing is that was my job, is to go out there and be the face, and that's someone who hates to be in front of the camera, someone who hates to be talking about himself. I had to do it, otherwise that's just, everybody would have thought this was a corporately created franchise, and the film deserved more. All of the hard work that everybody put into it deserved more. So I stuck my neck out there, and I became the face of it, and I talked about what we went through, and I was just been very honest and doing that. But I think that is definitely something that independent films can bring, is that personal touch, that heart that you can't get with something. I always recall Aliens versus Cowboys, or Cowboys and Aliens. Cowboys and Aliens.
Yeah, Cowboys and Aliens.
So Cowboys and Aliens, when I worked at Malibu Comic, Cowboys and Aliens was purchased by Scott Rosenberg, who owned Malibu Comics. And he was the one who sold it to Sony right after Men in Black. And they threw every big name at it. Steven Spielberg, Harrison Ford, Daniel Craig, this, that, whatever. Every name that they could think of, they threw at that. And it was just one of those movies that was just, let's just paint by numbers and follow, and it'll be a hit. And it was. This is the same thing, kind of like a Wild Wild West, was. Yeah. And there isn't a heart to that. And I think that's what audiences are expecting when they see something, at least that's called Animal Crackers. They were expecting the Emoji Movie is what they were expecting.
Oh God.
And
let's not bring that one up.
Yeah, well, I mean, but that is what I got that comparison a lot, and just based on the name. And but I wish I had the budget of Emoji Movie. I think that was $120 million budget, and but that's it. I mean, I loved doing this on our own. We had no safety net. We had no studio telling us what to do. My wife and I were just handling everything. And it was just like, hey, let's try this. Okay. Hey, let's try that. Okay. My wife would tell me, can we afford it? No. Okay. Can we cut anything? Yes. Okay. Well, let's cut that and we'll try this. And it was just the two of us, and I think that was really, really fun. I mean, that's how we got Queen. We just, when you're making a movie, you put in music that you like, and the Don't Stop Me Now song was perfect. And we had a $200,000 music budget for all of our music total. And we went to Queen, and they wanted $500,000 for that one song.
Oh my God.
We were like, oh God, so, we budgeted, we're like, we can go as high as $70,000. And it was like, nope. And so we were just going, okay, we got to get rid of this song. But oh my God, it's just so good. We just love it. And this was 2014. Not everybody had used it by then. Bohemian Rhapsody wasn't out. So it was just like, it was a really cool throwback song. And so I said, well, let's just send them the movie and let them watch it. Let them see where it is in the movie. And so we asked them, and Brian May and Roger Taylor, they watched it with their families, and they liked it so much that they gave it to us for $70,000. And it was just, you know, like you wouldn't get that if you were Sony or Pixar. You know, you just pay the $500,000, of course. But
yeah, Sony just flat out like, let's play the budget a little bit more.
Yeah, exactly. You know, but
and then if it fails, we'll blame the director.
Exactly. But you know, but that was the experience I got, was to have that story now, you know, and that, you know, that they liked the movie so much that they, you know, gave it to us for almost like, you know, like, was it 10% of what they originally wanted, and I love that, and I think you could see it in the heart, you know, and everything that we did, and you know, my wife plays Petunia the Fat Lady, and my son plays Owen at 12. You know, I have cousins playing parts, you know, El Diablo and you know, the Bearded Lady, and so I mean, we had fun. We had all of our family and friends playing parts. I got, when Andy Ross, my music supervisor, asked me what kind of music I listened to, I was like, 80s music, Huey Lewis and the News, Howard Jones. I wanted Toad the Wet Sprocket. I wanted to get Def Leppard. We just didn't have enough places for it, you know. But just and within a week, I was on the phone with Huey Lewis, and you know, it's been so cool getting to meet them, and getting to meet Michael Bublé, and getting to meet all these really, really cool musicians. And the musicians were even better than the actors. The musicians would come over to my house. They were like, hey, we've got a tour stop in Nashville. You want to get together for lunch? Hey, can we come over to the Hobbit hole and watch the movie with you? You know, and they've been friends with me ever since. And they just call me just to check in on stuff, you know? It's the weirdest thing.
No, that's really awesome. Josh, questions?
Well, from everything I've heard so far, one, I'd say Nabisco would be incredibly lucky to be able to work with you. I mean,
and also, can I touch on that, gummy bears? If we're talking about Disney gummy bears, who the hell isn't waiting for that movie?
I think the real thing is Nilla Wafers, the movie. I think that's the one that has to happen.
That'd be the next Emoji movie.
I think it was earlier this year, might have been last year, I don't know. I do recall seeing a story about, you know, the animal cracker snack and the rebranding, taking the animals out of the cages.
Yeah.
And how perfect would it have been to just rebrand it with your movie?
Oh, you don't know the half of it. I was the reason why those animals came out of the cages.
Okay, I hear a story here.
Yeah. PETA reached out to me because they heard about my movie. Well, we can't have a movie about animals in a circus. And I said, they're not. They're all humans who ate a cookie. And they said, really? Send us the script. So we sent them the script. They're like, this is a really cute script. And I said, thank you. And they said, you know, have you heard about Nabisco and this and that or whatever? And I said, you know, we were talking to them about possibly partnering up. This was when we were with one of our distributors. And they said, could you introduce us? Because we want to get them to get those animals out of those cages. So I put the two of them together. And they started talking, and they were running some ideas. So I did a painting of the animals kind of coming out at you. And they really liked it. And Nabisco actually sent me a box with the animals coming out, and in the corner it had one of our animals, and it said, Animal Crackers, now a major motion picture, on the box. And it was going to be in every store. And then the company that we were dealing with went bankrupt, and we lost the deal. But they moved forward with PETA. They put the box out without our artwork. But we were going to be, in 2017, we were going to have Nabisco attached. and our artwork was going to be on the box in every store in the world, which would have been really cool. But that might have reinforced the whole corporate thing. I don't know, but it still would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, that blown away by that, man.
But it was really, it was, like opportunities like that came along, and there was just like the film could have come out 3 years ago. It would have been in theaters. Would it have done better? I don't know. Would have done worse? I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. And so I'm trying to just be thankful for what I have. We didn't get to work with Nabisco. We didn't get the movie to come out in the theaters. There's no DVDs, there's no toys, there's no T-shirts. But I did a movie, and it's the experience, as they say. It's sometimes it's the journey that's more important, and that's what I'm trying to be thankful for.
Well, I mean, you're definitely very humble towards it, which speaks volumes towards you as a person in general.
Thank you.
Excuse me. No, absolutely. It's one of those deals where there are filmmakers, and in case they ever listen to the show, I will not get into it as far as naming their names. But
is it me?
There are filmmakers that have an iota of success, and in that moment turn into, I guess the best way to put it is divas.
Oh,
It's like, oh, well, I did this, I did this. Well, you came out with one movie, dude. I mean, just like and not that it's not an accomplishment, it is. To have anything come out, and especially have the entire world to see it, it's a hell of an accomplishment. It really is. Yeah. But you still maintain this very level-headedness that's rare to see. And, and I appreciate the humility behind it, just so much for the fact that you wrote, you directed, I would assume, did quite a bit in assisting with the animation. You poured in a lot of your own blood, sweat, tears, your own finances, your time, everything, put everything you had into this film. And it's paid off, because even if it lost out to The Kissing Booth 2, I still have not seen The Kissing Booth 1.
Seems like something weird for people our age to sit back and enjoy.
Yeah. And no knock on The Kissing Booth 2. There was just a joke about that stupid Kissing Booth 2. That was fun. But...
No, I get it. I don't mean any disrespect towards The Kissing Booth 1 or 2. I have seen one in boredom while drunk, wondering what I was watching. It just, again, I'm not the demographic for it. It's just like I'm not part of the people that's really trying to reach out to. If I was the kind of 37-year-old grown-ass man that was like, oh my God, this is a fantastic movie, I'd be concerned. But when it came to Animal Crackers, I mean, you came out with a song that was at the top of the charts. Whether it's for like a night, a week, a month, however, you got there. And as you said, everyone has been very supportive of it between the cast. More specifically, the musicians have been very open-minded about it and have been very supportive of it. And you've gone through the back door in a few things where, as you said, the studios would just throw money at things to get it to happen, which usually is where the budget falls short as far as like the returned investment goes. You were actually able to stick to your guns and come out with a product that you were very pleased with, that obviously millions and millions and millions of other people were equally as pleased with, if not more so.
Yeah.
But you said that you don't know where you're going to go next, because nothing's ever etched in stone. You haven't really heard anything back yet about like other projects. What are your focal points right now? Are you working on something new? You don't have to tell us what it is. Obviously, it's like, nothing like talking about like an unprotected, property.
No, of course.
But
it's I'm not creating anything new right now because I put that time in over the last 17 years. You know, my boys are 17 now. I've written 16 books. I've got, I think, 30 total IPs, you know, in one form or another. Right now, what I'm doing during the day mostly is putting together an art of book, just to kind of compile all of the artwork that went into the film. So we can maybe get that out for like a Christmas release. That's been a lot of fun. I've been making animated GIFs on Giphy, you know, which has been fun. And and just, you know, like I've already written scripts for several of the films. You know, I've already got the sequel ready. I've put all the work in, you know, and so it's like I've got all this creative energy. And what I've been doing for the last 3 years is I've been just painting, and I've been, you know, just painting and painting and painting and painting. But I since the movie came out, I haven't painted anything, and I've just been focusing on just trying to, you know, people aren't going to be talking about Animal Crackers forever. So I just want to, every time someone posts something on Twitter or Facebook or something that says, you know, I really like this movie, or my kids really like this movie, I just want to thank them. And so, you know, in between spending time with the kids and, you know, working on the book, I would say probably every half hour to an hour, I'll, you know, go onto Google, and I'll look around and see, you know, thank whoever's on there, or go onto YouTube and answer all of the comments on the channel and whatnot. And that's just been kind of what's been going on. I mean, we're in the pandemic too, so everything kind of feels like Groundhog Day. So it's just kind of, everything kind of seems the same. But yeah, I wish I could say I was working on something new, but I'm not. I'm waiting to get a chance to take one of these projects that I've already got lined up and ready to go. It's like I built the race cars. I built a fleet of race cars, and I'm ready to race. And I don't want to build another race car. I've got them all lined up and ready to go, and I want to get out there and race again. And that's kind of where I am with that. But my biggest comic that I've ever done has been the Dreamland Chronicles, which was a web comic, and I started putting that comic up, I think, in 2006, and it ran for, I think, 11 years till 2017. And that's when I finished the series. It was 8 books. It was like 2,200 pages. And over the years, we had 34 million readers around the world. We have toys. We have, you know, when I go to conventions, kids come dressed up in costume and whatnot. And it was really, really fun. That's the one I'd really love to turn into an animated series. I think that's my next dream, my next Spider-Man goal is to do that. Because I love that world, and I love the characters, and you know, whether I get to do a sequel for Animal Crackers, or I get to make Pet Robots, or My Grandparents Are Secret Agents, or any of my other films, I think Dreamland would be the one. And the Dreamland characters are the ones in my logo at the beginning of the movie. The cat girl and the fairy and the giant and the elf, and those are the characters from my comic. And so I got, you know, fans from all over the world going, "Oh my God, I saw the Dreamland Chronicles at the beginning of your movie," you know, which was really kind of fun. But that's the one I think I put the most time and money into, and out of all of my projects. And so I'd love to see that become a series.
Oh my God! See that, Josh? I need to get you and Brandon involved so I can start reviving my old 9-to-5 Workaholics comic strip from like 2003. Oh my God! I did good. I had a fan following. I just stopped doing it because I was an undisciplined little, like, you know, 18, 19-year-old. Like,
yeah. Well, was a web comic too?
It was published in a local. It wasn't anything major. It was in this little independent newspaper in Cape May County, New Jersey, called the Trading Post of Cape May. And I didn't get paid for it. I just pretty much, I approached them and asked them, "Hey, I have a comic strip series about how much I hate my job." I'm not a customer service person at all. I got fired from Burger King in 3 hours my first day for eating burgers at the broiler. So it's like, you know, well, how do I make this like a good character? So I called a few places, and I got turned away by a few people. But this little free newspaper took it on. And I added my little Yahoo Mail email address, like, oh, for suggestions or questions. And I think by issue number 4, I had, for a small, like, tri-county little trading paper, I had my inbox flooded. I'm like, I can't write these people back. Thank you. You suck.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like, just like, so I quit doing it. And I revamped it. The goal was always to re-release it. And I started a Facebook page a while back, but then life happened. I'm like, well, I've got to get back to it. I downloaded all this. I got all the software to work on the comic strip series, and I haven't even touched it. I've been so focused on like the writing aspect of things and just making sure that I don't go homeless. So it's like one of those, but no, like not to promote my stuff, just like it's one of those like, damn, I should have stuck with 9 to 5 Workaholics back when I had a fan base.
Yeah,
but
it's I love telling stories, and I'd love to make a living doing it. And so that's my hope, is I get to do it again, and I get to get paid and, really make a living doing it.
Oh yeah. Well, I did wanted to, one thing, and I'm sorry to steal a little bit more of the spotlight from here, Josh. I'm just so curious about this, Scott. With you going to Netflix and everything else, it took you years to get Crackers actually released to the public. So that being said, like Netflix, how did you manage to get Netflix to be like, okay, well, we'll take this on, we'll post it up?
Well, Netflix, it was just a confluence of events. Netflix, we got the rights back to the film we'll say summer of 2019, and that was when I think Disney Plus came out. Yeah. And I think that was when Netflix really made a concerted effort to get into animation, and they had just bought Klaus and the Willoughbys, and so they were really making an effort, and so we were at the top of the list because just the cast alone, and it's just one of those things where the field of independent animation, isn't a very nice field. It's no one's putting out a lot of money, and people are trying to make animated films for like $2 or $3 million, and they look like they're made for $2 or $3 million. They definitely don't have the cast, and they definitely don't have the art quality. And our team in Spain, and we had Carter Goodrich designing our characters. I mean, Carter Goodrich designed Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, Ratatouille, Brave, Despicable Me, Coco. I mean, he was just amazing. We had Tony Bancroft, who directed Mulan, was my co-director. We had Armand Serrano, who was the production designer for Zootopia and Moana and Big Hero 6. So our film had the talent, we just didn't have the budget. And so people were coming on to the film and working on the film for, just like the actors, for one reason or another, because they liked it, and it showed. Whereas, when you have a $2 million budget, you really can't. I mean, we were at least able to pay them a wage, and so there was that. But I think that's why we stood out. It wasn't anything I did. I'm the last person to convince anybody of doing anything. I definitely wasn't even in the room. It was just they approached our Michael Favell, who's our casting, our overseas sales agent, and he brought the deal to us, and we said yes. But it was just like I said, it was just a fortunate thing, because Disney was taking all their stuff, and we just kind of caught Netflix just as they were looking for content.
Oh, so like the right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah, which is kind of been the whole way. I mean, we've out of all the crappy things that have happened to us, a lot of good things kind of happened to us for that same reason.
Well, okay. I would assume that's how it works. That's the universe working itself out there. So
yeah, exactly.
All right, Josh, I'm done stealing the spotlight from you. Go ahead.
Are you really?
Well, you want me to put the spotlight back on me?
No.
That's why I thought, okay, make other questions, okay? God. Man. Try to take care of my man here, and I just get abused and hounded. Go ahead.
Don't be like me and Danny DeVito, Josh. Don't just slurp some soup and stare in my eyes.
Yeah, I do that plenty by myself. I don't need you to add to it, Josh, okay? Go ahead.
No, honestly, some of your talking points have hit really close to home, especially the Danny DeVito story. I'm not the one that puts myself out there. The only time that I really open up, so to speak, is when a microphone is in front of me, right?
Yeah.
It's where I feel comfortable. When I'm in a sort of public engagement, or even something more private, I don't feel comfortable being the guy that's like taking up space. It's like not ever feeling kind of like you're supposed to be there. I don't know if any of you guys ever feel like that, because otherwise I'm just saying really weird things.
Well, I did feel like that when I first met you over the series that you and our former partner came to. You guys confronted me about and asked me if I could come on board, because he did the talking. You did the staring.
Yeah.
You made the eye contact.
Wish we had some
and
soup.
I was thinking in my head, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
I get that a lot. It takes me a minute to really come out of my shell when talking to someone one-on-one. But when I get there, when the gloves are off, so to speak, it is quite a different story.
And years later, you and I did Bad Agent together, so,
Yeah.
Which is available on Amazon Prime.
Would you stop? We're not... It's free, damn it. It's available everywhere right now. So.
But, Scott, I know you spend a lot of time on social media thanking people for enjoying your movie. So I'm going to take this second right here to thank you. It's not every day that I can find something new or interesting that I can share, especially with my youngest daughter. I have 3 girls. Oldest is 13. Youngest is 9. The middle one's 11. So, being a single dad, it's like they like all the stuff that I like. And case in point, the most recent movies we watched, other than Animal Crackers, was the Naked Gun series. And, the youngest got a kick out of that. And when she said, you know what, I got this movie for you to watch, I was like, oh, really now? Okay. You know what I like? Let's, what's your suggestion? And she put on Animal Crackers, and we watched it, and like through the first, I'm not even sure how long, but it was a lot of listening and going, do you know who that is? Do you know who that is? And her saying, I know that voice. It was a lot of fun, and of course, just watching the movie unto itself, especially, like the second and third times, it's like, it's enjoyable, it's fun, it's I don't know how to sound like I'm not reading from the back of a box here, but it is definitely something that I myself enjoyed spending time with my daughter with, and did not have to feel uncomfortable at all, because some of these animators, they're a little sly. They put in really adult stuff.
Oh,
but
yeah,
a safe kids flick that adults can enjoy. So I want to thank you for your work.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it. And please give a hug to your daughters for me, too.
I absolutely will. In fact, the youngest was kind of upset. She had to... Well, not upset, just in case she's listening. She went to visit Grandma, Meemaw, for the weekend. And she's like, "You're gonna talk to him without me." Yeah, that's right.
Oh, well, hello from Franklin, Tennessee, and the Hobbit hole.
She can listen to this and hear a direct shout out to her.
Yes.
She'll be like, "Oh my God, that's awesome!" But still, Dad, you did that without me.
Yeah, that's what it's going to amount to.
Let's face it. You have girls, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have any children. Closest I have outside of my dog is my 21-year-old baby sister. And I'll tell you right now, until I moved out to California, I was constantly around her throughout her early life and quite a good bit through her teenage years. And I'm not the dad, so I can only imagine having, a house full of little girls running around, the guilt trips, the Academy Award-worthy performances, and the guilt trips, like the flat-out guilt trips that you get, like probably constantly. And I'm sure you're going to get massive ones from this.
So yeah, that is a thing. That is very true. I'm gonna go off original topic real quick. I'm gonna ask you about Dreamland Chronicles because that sounds like something I could recommend to one of my daughters, especially an older one. Tell us a little bit more about Dreamland Chronicles. Where to get it. Who's the target for that kind of thing.
It's weird because it's been online for so long, and then when I started Animal Crackers, it was at around 2014, and I'd been working on it since 2003. The software was really kind of getting old. It was the same software I used for Spider-Man, and I was having a hard time with it, and I was making a movie, and so I hired a really talented artist named Tracy Bailey, who came in, and she took over the last book for me. She took over book 8, and she finished up the series for me in her own style, because the whole book is done in 3D. So she took it over, and I loved it so much. It was so much nicer than the 3D that I was doing. The 3D I was doing was really nice, but there was just something about this hand-drawn that was just so nice. It had a nice Disney kind of style. And so I asked her if she would want to go back and start this, redo the entire book with that art. And so she's been working on it. So she's on chapter 3 now of 22 chapters. And so she's on chapter 3. She'll be working on it for a few years, but we set up a Patreon, and she's been doing that. But I put the first 2 chapters up on the DreamlandChronicles.com, and you could see them. And if your daughters want to, I can send them the PDFs of the entire series, in the 3D version. It's the same story. It's just we're redoing the art. But I'm happy to send you guys all the PDFs. And
that would be awesome.
If they really, really like it, then I could send them the books and the toys too. But for now, we'll start off with the see if they like the first 2 chapters on the series, and then we'll go from there. But it's a lot of fun. It's the 2 main characters are Daniel and Alexander, which are my twin boys' middle names, and the boys are twins, and so it was really a story I wrote I wrote for my kids, but this one was very close to my heart, and it's a kitchen sink of all of the movies and the books I read. It's The Hobbit, it's Never-Ending Story, it's The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. It's it's just got everything in it. It's got King Arthur in it. It's got ancient Egyptians, and it's got Native Americans, and just anything that the boys were into while they were growing up, I would put in there, and it's just really, really a lot of fun, and it's got a great fan base, and I think the girls would like it. I really do.
Well, it sounds like something is right up their alley. Can't wait to have them see it.
Yeah. I hope they like it.
Brandon?
Well, actually, I had really one last question I have. Would you ever consider, because animation, comic strips, and everything else, and as a former cartoonist, and once in a blue moon, still just drawing out my old characters to see if I even remember how to draw them anymore. Which, go me, I still do. 20 years. I work healthcare, and I actually have the lead, Brett from 9 to 5 Workaholics, out by a nurse's station, reminding people to sanitize their damn hands.
Yeah.
And it's a pathetic character, but just like the anti-authority and anti-establishment kind of character in the series, based closely on me when I was 16. But, I still go back, and I would love to do some kind of animation somewhere down the line with the series, see where it goes. But my heart lies in writing and, the occasional directing when we're not in like a full-scale apocalypse.
Yeah.
So have you ever thought about going into doing anything like live action, like writing and actually filming and directing a live action film or short film or anything really?
I've written a couple, but I have no desire to direct. I don't want to deal with all of that stuff. I like doing animation because I don't have to deal with people. I can work it from home. If I'm on a set, I have to deal with a lot of people face to face. So this works good for my personality, directing, because I can, I wake up in the morning and I get a bunch of shots to look at. And I, give my notes and send it off, and I could sit in my Hobbit hole and be comfortable. So, but yeah, I do love writing. And so I've written a romantic comedy. I've written a sci-fi series. Originally Animal Crackers was a live action film. Oh, really? Yeah, it was supposed to be like a CGI animals, like an Alvin and the Chipmunks type of thing. And, yeah. But it was just, we turned it into animation. It didn't really change anything with the story. It was just, that was it. But yeah, I love, like I said, I love telling stories. The hardest part about it though is funding. That's the hardest part. So that's why I like doing, my comics, because I could just, you don't need money for that. But there's nothing like making a movie. It was just a really, really amazing experience, and I would like to do that again.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the great thing about filmmaking and everything else. The whole Bad Agent that I joked about earlier, that me and Josh just so, selfishly promoted for 5 seconds, was and I spoke with our past guest last week, Sue, wonderful woman, really awesome. Would not recommend that episode for the kids. As I said earlier, I am full, absolute 100% filter for this episode.
You've been amazing.
Yeah, it's hard.
He's about to explode. I just know it.
I as soon as I get off the phone, there's probably going to be a few explicitives coming out of my mouth. And it's not out of frustration. It's just I assume. Even God, I'm so filtered that the analogy I want to use, I feel, is too adult oriented, and it's because I want kids to really, if they listen to this, especially Josh, this is mostly for you, buddy. If your daughters listen to this, I do not want them to hear Uncle Brandon going off on, Trucker and Sailor Mouth going off right now.
They've heard you on speaker before.
I know, and I didn't know I was on speaker. But the thing is still, with all this that goes down, Bad Agent, Josh and I had joked about this when the TV series that we initially met over doing didn't happen. And we had just talked about it in passing. And so I think, oh God, what was that, 2013? So I think it was 7, 8 years later, I moved to California. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm just going to try to find some people to film something with. Didn't expect anything of it. I introduced a 9-minute script for Bad Agent that I threw together. I'm like, forget it. We'll try this. See how it goes. And since then, Josh and I, and also the actor that plays the agent, Brian, who we've actually had on the show, we've spoken about numerous times on the show. He played the agent, and it's while Josh and I had just simply joked about this, years prior, everything we joked about, Brian did flawlessly. It's like we were watching the person we just even joked about on film. I mean, just everything. I think I had him stick to the script maybe once or twice.
Wow.
And I just kind of threw out the script because he made the character his own. He came on set. We filmed the entire. The entire thing, the 9 minutes, the whole thing. we filmed it in about 7.5, 8 hours. And what he turned out was just gold.
Wow.
It was brilliant. If you want to actually send you a link to it, we're in the process of trying to finish up the actual season based off of the short, because he enjoyed it so much, and so did Josh and I and everyone else we worked with. We're just very, the hell with it. We'll see what we can do as far as actually making something out of it.
Yeah.
So all this being said, when it was done, the relief, and I know that you know the feeling, the relief of seeing something that you just wrote. Actually, and you have a feature animated film. I have like a 9-minute short. But the feeling remains the same. You write something, it gets made, you see the final product, and you're like, this is actually in my imagination. I am looking at what I was thinking. How would you describe that feeling, like the first time you actually watch Animal Crackers in its entirety? Not just your personal copy of it, but when you were able to sit down and watch it on Netflix for the first time, when not just you, but millions of people worldwide were able to see this film.
Yeah.
What was your reaction? Like, what was the feeling that you got from actually seeing this, thinking like, okay, PG-13 word, I've got to, Josh, sorry. Holy shit, we made it.
People have asked me, are you elated? Are you excited? And I think I'd have to be bipolar to be excited, because we were so run down for 3 straight years of all lawsuits and bankruptcies and thinking the film's never going to come out, that, to be perfectly honest, when we finally sat down to watch it, I don't think we even believed that it was really on there. Like, just to give you a heads up, after everything we'd been through, the night before, 3 or 4 hours before the film was going to come out, the 23rd, there was one company that actually tried to sue Netflix to get our film to not come out, because they were owed money by this one investor who never paid them. And so our film almost at the 11th hour got held up by a judge because of a lawsuit.
Wow.
And Netflix had to go and fight it. I mean, so, there was no build up. There was no walking down the red carpet. There was no big sigh of relief. It was just, we had, 3 years ago had said, well, maybe no one's ever going to ever see this movie. And for 3 years, we just lived with it. And we are slowly, my wife and I are slowly feeling a little better about it. But it's to go from such a low to a high. We just never reached that high. The highs that we got were from the making of the movie, and then everything went low. And I think we're kind of back to normal, kind of like a midway thing. But I wish I could tell you that it was just this wonderful emotional experience to see the film on Netflix. But we were still carrying the weight of all of the bad stuff that happened to us. And while it felt really good, it wasn't a, pop open the champagne kind of moment or anything like that.
It was more like, okay, crack open the beer, pour me a shot kind of.
Yeah. It was really cool. It really was. But every tweet, with every post on YouTube where someone tells me that they really like it, and just even you guys just telling me that you liked it and that your kids liked it, and it really does make me feel good. And each one is kind of rebuilding my my happiness each time. But it's a long journey. It's like coming out of an abusive relationship, and you know.
Don't mean to laugh at that, but I get. I understand.
It's learning to love again, so to speak, and we've been abused, and it's something that we are just we're thankful that it's that the film's finally out there. We're thankful that people like it, and I like I said, I think that's why we're really looking forward to doing it again, and appreciating it even more. But I do see what you're saying. It is an amazing thing to watch your film. I kind of got that feeling in 2018, I think it was. We did a screening at Warner Brothers, and we had Michael Bublé and Huey Lewis and Tara Strong and James Arnold Taylor and some of the cast and some of the musicians and whatnot, and we screened it. It was in the same theater that Mel Brooks screened Blazing Saddles to the executives, which was really cool. And
awesome.
Yeah, and so
I
we
got to soak that in for a second.
Huh?
Said I have to soak that in for a second.
Yeah. But that.
Yeah, Josh and I are huge Mel Brooks fans. Like
yeah, me too.
I could watch all of his movies. I would have to be wearing a diaper to actually watch his movies because I wouldn't want to get up. Bring me some pizza, bring me some drinks.
Yeah.
So that doesn't taste gross as it gets warm because it will go lukewarm or, in summertime hot.
Yeah.
And just leave me alone for about 3 days. Silent Film, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, all that stuff.
I just played Men in Tights for the kids Sunday.
Men in Tights.
Men in Tights, yeah. My son has an obsession with that movie too. But yeah, we got to do that, and I do remember that being a very emotional experience, seeing it on the screen, with the people who helped make the movie, and that was an emotional thing because we were only a year and a half into that, and at the time things were looking like maybe this third time we were finally going to get the movie out, which is why we had the screening, and so I was able to kind of feel a little bit then, but 2.5 more years, or another year and a half,
Well,
and two more, yeah. Anyways, 2 more years goes by, and here we are. So I was a little bit more bummed.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing that I'll actually probably be more my softer self in this situation because I'm kind of like a mixture of both. I am like a Sour Patch Kid. Kind of an asshole, but I'm still kind of sweet at times. But the thing is that with everything you've done with this, and even as you put it, like at 51 years old, like the first feature film came out, you want to do more of it. One thing that Josh and I have actually talked about in past episodes is that people, especially younger filmmakers, younger writers, have such unrealistic expectations that they put on themselves.
Yeah.
I'm going to be famous in a few years off this. I'm like, well, most likely you won't be.
Yeah.
No offense. I'm sure what you have is fantastic, but being realistic, not everyone can be like the 20-something-year-old hotshot that comes out with a great thing. Like, no, you can't all be like Robert Rodriguez, Kevin Smith, Tarantino, Troy Duffy. Sometimes things are going to happen, and it may be like the guy, I forget his name, the guy that wrote and directed the movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds, Justin Long, and all them. He hasn't done much. Not to say he's not talented. Waiting was, I thought, was hysterical. I mean, it's been years, but it was funny. But the thing is that you may not have anything for quite a while. You may have something great for the moment that will never have a follow-up, or you may have something that's going to be fantastic that'll launch your career. But the thing is the fact that you have something even for the world to see, and you have such a high volume of fans and people that appreciate it, speaks volumes. Now, we, again, with two of our past guests, Sue and Justin. Justin was one of our earlier special guests, made this film that Josh and I have talked about, Relish, a few times. His entire background was not actual directing feature-length films at all. He got started in the game fairly late, and I think his two feature films they had were starring his son Mateus. And
really,
but it's like he got such a late start. But the thing is he had a thriving career before it. But Sue, she's a talented screenwriter, and with her, I think she'd written a few features, and she was working on a TV series. but she's in her, I don't want to discuss her age, but she's in her 50s. She just got started a few years ago, but, because of her hustle, things are happening for her. Things are turning around. She's, she wanted to be, the way she put it, she wanted to be a novelist, but she didn't really, I forget how she put it, but she wanted to dip more into screenwriting, but she didn't know a single thing about screenwriting. She's very self-taught with this. But now she's finding success slowly, but she's finding success as a screenwriter while she's in her 50s. She got a late start, but she got there. The thing is, what I'm trying to get to is that it doesn't matter what age you got started at things or even like what you have going on, but the thing is that you actually made it on some level that people only dream of making it on. Despite the blood, sweat, tears, frustration, sacrifices, gains, losses, everything, you crank something out that not only has been viewed, but has been adored all over the world. So that being the case, even someone like me, I mean, I'm very particular about what I watch. I didn't hold high expectations when Josh first told me, it was like, oh, I'm going to get the guy that directed Animal Crackers. I'm like, Animal Crackers?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have kids. I mean, I barely watch Netflix as it is, but I was like, what's Animal Crackers? And he tells me, so I watch it. I'm like, well, this is okay. This is a pretty solid movie. Like, I mean, I laughed at it a couple of times. Like, it's funny. It's cute. If I had a kid, I would be more than happy to recommend it to my kid. Like I said, not the demographic here, but I can appreciate it for what it is. And more so now after talking to you of everything that you put into it. I mean, you busted your ass making this thing happen. And you got it done. And so even despite all the hardships that you went through and, some guy filing a lawsuit because the investor of your film owed him money, whatever the case may have been, it still got out there.
Yeah.
It has enjoyed a very, very, very high ranking on Netflix as it is right now. It still sits at the top 10. Of all of Netflix. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, how many films are there on there that are actually amazing films? And then you have this little, let's go back to Rocky. You have this little underdog of a movie that's actually gotten quite a bit of stir up from people.
Yeah, I'm trying to be realistic because it could all just go away.
It could,
and so I'm just, I'm going to do, if it does all go away, it's not going to be for any lack of me trying, I'm going to give it everything. I'm going to leave everything on the ice. And so that's all I'm trying to do is just give it every chance I can. Like I said, I've already put the work in. I've got all my other movies ready. I've got a script for the sequel. I've got, 30 more projects. I've got everything ready. So if it fails, it's not going to be because of me. And, but there's no guarantees and I just need to be okay with that. I don't want to look back, on my life having accomplished all the things I have accomplished. And, whether it's Spider-Man or Animal Crackers or Aliens versus Predator or, or Casper or anything else, I don't want to look back on that with any kind of regret because it's been a good life. With all the hardships and everything that we've dealt with, it's been a good life. And, it's that conundrum of a creative person is you're always looking how, for that next thing. You're always trying to look into the future and see it could be better, it could be better, it could be better. But you also have to be content with where you've been. And so it could
be a lot worse too.
Yeah. So it is such a weird place because, I've got so much more I want to do, but if I never do it again, I should still be okay with it. And so I have to both be motivated and content at the same time, which is really hard to do.
Okay. Well, I mean, I gotta say, and I've got to speak on this again, how humble you are and everything else, your level of humility in the whole situation, all of that, like in the face of everything you've dealt with, the fact that you are not a beaten down, person by this, you might be worn out. That's very understandable, but you sound far from defeated. I mean, it's everything you're saying is the polar opposite of defeated, despite everything that you dealt with. But the thing is the way you carry yourself in the face of all this, and again, in the wake of everything that's happened. The fact that you're still so humble and about yourself to even come on to a podcast, over like a Twitter feed, like that like, I mean, that speaks, like, I don't even know how much about you as a person. So I have no doubt that more stuff will follow through with this, because, I mean, without ever even having worked with you on anything, I can say, like, as a writer, I'd be like, yeah, I'd be stoked to have this guy come on board and help us write something. Like, yeah, he actually seems like a really cool guy.
Oh, thank you.
So it's like, that being the case, I mean, I could only imagine, like, the cast, the crew, the musicians, all of them, I would have no doubt whatsoever that they would definitely be excited to work with you again. And that being the case, the best thing you can do as a director of anything is have a good rapport with the actors. Because, I mean, like, moment's notice, going back to Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Rodriguez, they have pretty much recurring roles for a lot of their past actors in a lot of their films.
Yeah.
And it's because of that rapport that they built with them. And I'm sure just the rapport alone with those actors has enabled them to continue filmmaking and build up that name for themselves. Not to say that they rode their coattails, but just, people like working with pleasant people. And, and honestly, I didn't know how to read you at first from hearing about you, because, you don't know somebody personally. But I absolutely enjoyed just being able to talk to you tonight about this, because this is how cool, laid back, and down to earth you've been about the whole thing. I would only imagine other people would be just as excited to work with you again as I and Josh, I'm sure, would be more than happy to have you on again.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
So, but that's all I've got. Josh, do you have anything else, man? Josh?
I think you fell asleep.
I'm here.
Yeah. I was going to say, you're hosting this session here. There's no way you could have been disconnected and we'd still be here.
No. I was just making sure everything was still doodling and blipping and blooping, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Keep the hamster running so we can keep the show going.
Exactly.
No, but Josh, do you have anything else, man?
I mean, you know me, we could do this all day.
Yeah, we could. I don't think Scott can. So
it's past my bedtime.
So
I will say that it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on the WADcast tonight. And
it was so nice being here tut. Thank you guys for having me.
Is absolutely right when he says you are more than welcome to join us. I'm not going to lose your email. Put it that way. And if you ever need anything, I'm pretty sure Brandon and I will be more than happy to assist in whatever capacity we can.
Thank you.
But
as two no-name people in the industry, we'd be more than happy to help out.
Thank you.
Where can people reach you on social media?
If you're on Twitter, I think I'm just Sava. And if you are on Instagram, I have a private account, but I would say if you want to follow me on my art account, which is Sava Art. And the same thing with Facebook too. There's Sava Art as well, which like I said, the last few weeks I haven't been posting a lot of art because of the movie and everything, but I'll get back to posting more artwork soon.
Okay.
Kind of makes me wish I opened an IG account.
And if you want, Scott, I'll actually go back and I'll just untag your Instagram from our WADcast post. And just write your name in there instead. That way people won't flood you with requests.
It's fine. It's fine. People do it all the time, and I have a copy and paste when I'll say you can follow me here on this other one, so it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't change anything. And when you guys get a chance to check out the Instagram I set up for Animal Crackers and look at all those behind the scenes footage, and you'll see me I'm the one with the hat. You'll see me in the reflection holding up my iPhone for a lot of those. Yeah, I really love I love inviting others to be a part of the making of. So I've been posting since 2014. Just especially on the Facebook, the Animal Crackers Facebook page, everything, every event. Like, when I wrote "Now Fly You Fools," I posted it and I was like, should I do it? And everybody's like, yeah, you got to do it. So I think the making of the movie could be an interactive thing with people, because it was something special for me, and I wanted to share that with everybody. And so I like that. I really do. I guess that's the way that I can be social without being social, is I like to talk to people. I like to take the time to type words and respond to people, and I think that just seems to be the best way that I can communicate with people, is that way. So yeah, I love it when people reach out to me.
Okay. Well, that's great. So, Josh, is that pretty much it for the episode, bud?
And that's it. You just need to tell people where they can, find us, reach us.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, for everyone that's here, that's listening, Mom, hi again.
She did say hi, by the way.
Yep. Huh? I saw. I've got the laptop on one side and I've got the phone on the other side, and that way I don't have the feedback from the actual live show on my phone blasting in my ear while I'm trying to listen to you guys talk too. That was a rookie move at the beginning of the episode. But either way, so you guys can find me personally. Well, first off, let's start with the WADcast website. It's called thewadcast.com. I will be updating it tonight. I keep saying that, but you know what? I'm off tomorrow. I'm off Sunday. Might as well enjoy it. So I'll be updating that tonight. With all of our past episodes, Sue, I'm so sorry I didn't add you to the website last week like I said I would. I will do it tonight. And I'll have... God, I swear, I've never progressed from high school with that kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, I'll get around to it. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll get it next week. But no, go to thewadcast.com. We do have all of our links at the bottom of the page. Click the links, like or subscribe, follow, whatever you want to do. Just do it. Make us famous. Get us out there. Whatever. Hook a brother up. You can follow me personally on Instagram. Instagram.com/bjaxman82. That's B as in boy or Brandon, my first name. Jax, Jax, man 82, the year I was born, the year my mother birthed me, and I've been thanking her and annoying her ever since. So bjaxman82 on Instagram. The WADcast is our Instagram handle. And that's where you can find all of our goody goods. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/thewadcast. You'll know our page by the our black logo with the white banner with WADcast written in it. And that is where you can follow all of our goody goods that I operate. Josh, would you like to finish up with your Twitter? And since I am forbade from giving the sign-out speech, I'll let you do that too.
No, you'll let me do that.
Well, I'm not allowed to do it.
That's true. Okay, well, if you want to follow me personally, you could always follow me at Skit Comic, or at Semicore Studios, or at WADcast Pod. Those are all great ways to get a hold of me over Twitter. Give it a follow. That's where I update everybody on what's going on with what I'm doing in the podcast world. Don't forget to check out semicorepods.com for all of your Semicore Studios podcasts, semicorestudios.com to find out more about each of those things. Semicore Studios on Facebook, give it a like. Wherever you're listening, don't forget to rate, review, subscribe. That way, we can move up in the algorithms, and people will know that, this is a thing.
That we exist.
Before I give the sign-off, I do want to say we did forget to give our movie recommendation this week, but it's a no-brainer. Watch Animal Crackers. Support.
No, I will actually agree with that. As the man with 0 kids that watched it in the privacy of his bedroom at 11 o'clock at night, watch it. It's actually a really good film. I did enjoy it.
Thank you all.
Now, for our final message. As usual, the only thing standing in your way from creating your art is you. So, whatever you decide to do it. Just throw yourself out there. No one is going to do it for you. Nobody can make your art but you. Thanks for listening to the WADcast, everybody. We'll see you next week, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, and 4 p.m. Hawaii.